I have a news alert for you. There was an article that was published in USA Today in the Money section back in November of 2024. I'm going to leave a link to it in the notes section below. That said, Americans across all age groups believe they're not making nearly as much as what they believe they should be making in order to feel successful. I found this really interesting because back when I was 50 years old, I did a master's program and I did it in leadership. And at the time, had the opportunity to either do a project or write a thesis. And I elected to write a thesis. And the thesis that I wrote was on the topic of generational differences in the workforce. Now, in my writings, I did not really address salary expectations or what they were making as far as salary. It was more about communication, or the lack of communication, specifically at that time between baby boomers and millennials. Why I found this interesting was because of the salary discrepancies between the generations. Let me explain to you what this article said. You have Gen Z, and they believe to feel successful, they need to make a little over $587,000 every year. Millennials need to make a little over $180,000 every year. Gen X, $212,000, and then your baby boomers, a little over $99,000. So we're talking between the two extremes there, Gen Z, $587,000, and baby boomers, a little over $99,000. Now, the article goes on, and by the way, this was based upon a survey by Empower where they asked a bunch of salary questions and perceptions of salary and expectations of salary across all age groups. There was over 2,200 participants in this. So it was a pretty good selection across all age groups. So it was pretty accurate. In fact, one of the things that I noticed about this was I did a little bit more research and I found a very similar article that was published a couple of years ago. The amounts were a little bit lower, but they were still across the same demographics and the same big gaps out there. Now, here's the kicker in all of this, and that was what these age groups are actually making. So, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary across all age groups is just over $60,000 a year. Far cry from $587,000. But of that average of $60,000, and of course there's ups and downs there, overall, what they found was that baby boomers were making more annually than Gen Z was making. So here you go. Yeah, the baby boomers that are making more money, not by much, but they were still making more money than Gen Z, yet they felt that they needed to make the least in order to feel successful. Now, I guess I can relate to that. It's difficult for me to relate to Gen Z. What I think maybe this is that a lot of them have been growing up in some really harsh recession times, so maybe that plays into how much they feel they need to make to be successful. Whereas on the baby boomer side, I think we had a lot more, homes were more affordable at the time we were growing up, and gasoline, things were not as pricey as it is now. That's probably is one of the reasons why it's low for the baby boomers and high for Gen Z. But I also think too that as we grow older, and at least I feel this way, and I'd be interested if you feel this way too. Please comment if you do. I think as we grow older, we become less materialistic in life. I know that I have. In fact, that drove my kids crazy at Christmas time when they were asking, "Hey Dad, what is it that you'd like for Christmas?" And I couldn't really think of anything. There just wasn't anything that I really wanted out there. And I would joke with them and say, world peace, joy to the world would be a great Christmas gift. I live for experiences and I live for memories, not for materialistic things. And I think a lot of people that are over 60 are feeling the same way. Maybe some of you even in your mid to late 50s are feeling this. I think I started feeling that right around 55. I think that could also be one of the reasons why there's that big difference as well. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I just thought it was a really interesting article that I wanted to share. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to his channel, hit that bell notification as I am uploading new videos every week. Thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Take care.